Alright, making sure that this is actually working. Alright. Well, you guys are already here. I'm impressed once again because kayakers being on time can sometimes be very interesting. We try our best. Alright, well, welcome to the first of... Last time was actually pretty funny. I spent so much of the time speaking into the computer camera, just forced to have it from Zoom and, interviews and stuff like that. We're focusing on the camera more this time. Think of this a little higher than I need to. Alright, so this is going to be the first of, basically as long as possible, first of a series where, the streams, the other lives, there's going to be a lot of, just like questions, breaking down clips, much like I did in the last one, but something that I've wanted to do. I actually did some write-ups of this same idea for the We Are Send website. I did some write-ups basically breaking down how people can go to the rivers, like info on the portages, info how to do the lines, safety, all that. But the thing is, a written write-up, sometimes it can be a little harder to really see where it is. And so I realized when thinking about it, I was like, this is actually a really great place that I could actually break down rivers so that way you actually have a visual to apply if there's a river you want to go do for the first time. Because that was a big part of why I got into making YouTube videos as well, as I wanted to just kind of have a easy to watch point A to point B. You can actually see what the river's like, because I don't know about you guys, but pretty much anytime I'm going to go to a new river, the first thing I do is look up a video to see, oh, what am I getting into, or what the river's like, or maybe there's something I need to know. So the reason why I wanted to start this series is just a place that people can see an actual visual to figure out where the best place to set safety, some more info to run the rapids, as well as just, break down a river. Before I go talking for an hour and a half, you guys let me know if anything is off or if the audio is off or anything like that. When I started the last stream, for some reason my audio went haywire, even though I did 10 test runs. Sweet. So for those that don't know, this first one, we're going to break down the upper jaw for a couple different reasons. One, the upper jaw is one of the upper Jalacingo, or upper jaw, is one of the best rivers in the world. It's outside of Jalcomulco in Mexico. By far one of the best rivers in the world, incredibly high quality. Not only is the upper Jalacingo in just basically a slide paradise, but Mexico jungle version, but the lower Jalacingo that it goes straight into is one of the best waterfall sections in the world, and I will do a breakdown on the lower Jalacingo as well. But for this first one, I'm going to do the upper for a couple different reasons. One, it is, like I said, one of the most fun sections and one that I always make sure to do. But it is a section that not only has some, interesting rapids that nice to know how to do it, but more importantly, there's about 4 or 5, I'm sure we'll have a number at the end, I believe it's 5, must-make portages that have been missed in the past, that it's just incredibly important to know where to get out. So that was another reason why I wanted to put a visual, so that way if anybody's going in there, they can be they have visual clues on where they get out to do those portages, because those portages have been missed in the past. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. This is going to be, I should probably put in, hopefully this time I remember to turn the audio off, because I missed that about 15 times last time. I'll go ahead and move this over and out of the way, and hopefully not off the table. Alright, let's get into it. Luckily, I think this time I remember to turn the audio off. Let's get to where we actually go kayaking. This is the first day I got to paddle in Mexico, 2022, which was, anybody who was there, it did not end up being a very, it was a great trip in a lot of ways, but unfortunately pretty much everyone got sick as we arrived. And I normally go kayaking, even if I am puking at the put-in from being super sick, which I've done in Mexico at the top of Lower Jaw in 2015, I will go kayaking. I don't care how sick I am, I want to go kayaking. It took 5 days for me to be able to go kayaking in Mexico this trip, and it was bad. I was the most sick I've ever been. But this was the first day I got to go kayaking. It was the water was low, unfortunately, during this trip, so the upper Jalacingo was super low, including the other run. But the nice thing about the upper Jalacingo is it's such a slidey run that even when it's super super low, you can get down the run. Some of the in between, like make your boulder gardens, might get a little bit like just not as fun. But the upper Jalacingo, if anyone ever tells you, if you're in Jalcomulco, if you're at Adventure Rec, and somebody tells you the upper Jalacingo is too low, it's probably still good. It would take it being basically bone dry for it to not be good. Yeah, this trip we all were so insanely sick. Brent, I think, got heart inflammation from this trip from being so sick, but he still rallied every day to go paddle and film with filmers. Like this trip, we brought in FPV pilot, multiple photographers. We brought in Stephen Dons for just as much content as possible. Like, and Zach Mutton was there. Like, the Voorhees brothers. Like, everybody was there. We were ready to get like incredibly sendy and have like the biggest, highest production, just insane trip. And then we all got so ridiculously sick that I actually flew home a week early. And those guys still got some amazing stuff, and the few things we got to do was great. But we were ready for like the biggest, most sendy trip of our lives, and at least for me personally. I got the back pretty well on Tomato, which was really fun. But yeah, unfortunately, and to make matters worse, Kaylin got hurt at the start of the trip. It was a trip that I would not like to repeat just how savage it was ever again. Okay, so for Upper Jalacingo, the great thing about it, no hiking, you get to put in at this bridge. The first thing that you're going to have, actually one thing before I get into this, for those that don't know, the Upper Jalacingo was first ascended in October 2008 by Nick Troutman, Joel Kowalski, Rafa Ortiz, Eker, and Phil Shepard was there. They... Nick and Joel were and Rafa were part of the crew that did the entire Alta Seca in 2006, and then they went back pretty much for 10 years after that. But in 2008, they first ascended the upper and lower jaw, and then actually flows into the Alta Seca. Rafa grew up in that area, so he knew a lot of rivers he wanted to check out. But for those that don't know, the upper and lower jaw, I think, is one of the most incredible two pieces of whitewater. Like one of the top runs in the world. So to be the ones that found it and first ascended it, I'm so jealous. I was obviously too young to go on the trip at the time, but it is by far two of the greatest rivers in the world. It's one of the greatest rivers, two of the greatest sections, and that's just, I can't imagine the feeling of being in there during the first ascent. So yeah, Upper Jalacingo, you put in a nice bridge. You're gonna get 3 or 4 really fun, just kind of cruisy, nice booths, little slides. But the most important portage is immediately following these first few booths. So you get about a minute or two of paddling, and you're going to get some nice little cruisy booths like this one. But as soon as you reach the first flat pool you have to get out. Because below that is about a 60 to 70 footer that lands directly on rock. The easy way to know where you're at is you're going to get this really nice little booth, and it is the first proper flat pool. It's a nice long flat pool. It's very obvious, but do not go past that pool because it is a huge drop that lands directly on rock, and unfortunately some paddlers miss it in the past, and it is something that it's one of the, I cannot imagine going too far. So when in doubt, just get out on the right. The nice thing about these entrance slides is if you're questioning whether or not you're, are you coming up, can we run the next one? You're pretty much right next to a field, so it's super easy to get out, and it's also super easy to get out and scout if you're worried about it. But when you get to this first flat pool, get out on the right. For the portage, you're going to get a little bit away from the river, not much. You're going to hike through a field, kind of just stay along the river, not on the water's edge, but kind of in the field here. You're going to get to a barbed wire fence, you'll go over it, and then you're going to end up on a pretty steep trail, not like crazy, nothing like insane, but it's a steeper, muddy trail. Some people like to lower boats because Mexico and the jungle, sometimes the mud is slippery, but you're going to be right next to a triple drop called Tres Locos, which I first ascended in 2014. We actually rappelled below the drop that you're portaging to run the triple drop. I actually had the clip ready to go, and I totally forgot to add it into here. I can decide later whether or not to add it in. But for those that aren't deaf, can probably hear that they're hiking along the waterfall. But yeah, you're going to start off in that field, go over the fence. You're going to go down a steeper, muddier little trail. And then afterwards, you're going to end up back into kind of an open field. And from there, you're kind of below the main drop. So you just kind of find your way back to the river. It's really not that hard. It takes 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the most. But it's kind of exactly as you would think. You kind of get away from the river, go down that trail. As soon as it opens up again, just find your way back to the river. I'm actually a little sad that I forgot to add. Did I download it? Let's find out real quick, because I was excited to show the clip of First Descending Tres Locos, simply because... Nope, I forgot to download it. Nailed it. Like I said, for all these first ones, we're going to beat her through a lot of this. But the reason why that clip was fun to show is because it was just a stern mount clip. Tres Locos is like two 4 or 5 foot boosts into like a 35, 40 foot, very low volume, basically just barely vertical drop. But what's funny about the clip that I had is that was November 2014 that I got the first descent on that. I posted it to my Instagram, and that was right when Instagram made the transition to where you could not only post photos but also video. And they actually reached out and they put that video clip on the Instagram page. So it was just super random, but it was just like such a weird spot to be able to have kayaking shown. But yeah, I'm guessing it was because it was right when they started doing video, or right around that time that they came across it, found it interesting. But it's just funny to have a video on Instagram on Instagram's page. But yeah, so super cool triple drop. If you get the opportunity to rappel in, it's a lot of fun. Like it's lower volume. I know a few people have gone in there. I don't actually know. Alec Voorhees got the second descent with me that day. I don't know that anyone else had done it since, but somebody wants to check it out. It's there. All right, but once you're back in the river, that's when things just immediately get good. Like you waste no time at all. Let me turn this a little. Sorry, the light was driving me crazy. As soon as you get back in, you're gonna have like a perfect 6-7 foot booth, really fun to freewheel if you want to. And then immediately following that, you're gonna go into like a 20, just barely 20 foot, maybe right around there. This drop is kind of an awkward entrance. You just get as much speed as you can off of it, boof it, 45 it, whatever you want to do. When you run this one, you can see there's a little bit of a pocket on the left. It's not actually something that's like bad if you're in it. Upper Jalacingo is a river that there's no reason to run it high, just for a couple, there's a couple rapids that get harder, the portages get, more water gets blown into the portages. It's one of those runs that it's okay when it's low, and you definitely don't need to run it high. In 2013, when it was high, Juanito did get he back entered somehow. He kind of got stuck behind the falls and then swam into the left pocket. But the good news is that right here off to the frame on the right side, you can actually get out and go through like a little hole to get into to help someone there. But in the end, that was the only time I've ever seen someone remotely go have any issues in there. He just unfortunately swam and went in there. But if you're in your boat, you should be able to paddle out. If for some reason you can't, people can access you from the right side of this frame. They can get to you if something were to go wrong. But in the end, especially at these flows, it's not a high volume drop. We were just running it really high that day. Then immediately following this, we have super fun kind of S-turn slide. This slide, it's at the bottom of the pool right after. You kind of have to either climb over a quick rock and seal launch into it, or if the water's just barely high enough, you can kind of wheelchair around a rock, get back in. But it's super fun. Like I said, it's one of the highest quality runs there is. It's just so much fun regardless of water levels. Super fun cruisy slide right after. And then starting here, it's the entrance to Disneyland slide. This is just a super kind of funky one to boof. There happened to be a log in there that day. This next one called Disneyland, one of the taller, more straightforward slides. Run it middle right. The more kind of middle you are, the nicer kind of kicker there is at the end. If anybody's watched Pat Keller and Annuals, where they did the Total Jalacingo into the Tomatas, which is on the Alta Seca, into the Seven Sisters in 2014 2015, I want to say. I'm trying to remember the year, but there was actually a log in that slide that they ended up launching off of. Luckily, it wasn't any worse. The one thing I will say on that note is, if you're like, you know that you're the first crew in for that year, it's not the easiest run to scout, but it is probably worth getting out in some places, in some blind corners, because you know, you are in the jungle, some trees fall in, and it's such a narrow place that, you know, they can, and you're committed to a lot of these gorges. So if you know you're the first crew of the year, which can happen, it might be worth getting as much scouting as you can, which kind of the rule of thumb anyways in most places. But there have been a few times where logs have been an issue, kind of taking people by surprise on this run. So if you know you're the first crew, it's probably worth scouting a few of these places, or just anywhere you think could have a log. We've had logs in the entrance slides, a log here, a log downstream. Like, it's just log to the entrance to one of the main drops. So just when in doubt, scout. But this slide is super fun, and it's just so fun out here because you're just sliding through the jungle. This next one, in 2011 and the years past, or yeah, like 2011, 2012, we were running the left channel here. It's kind of a slide in front of a boulder. But as long as I don't know, maybe the last 4 or 5 trips I've been there's been some logs in that left channel. I don't know if they're still there, like, currently. But while the logs have been there, what we do is we just wheelchair down these really, like, low volume right channels. You don't have to get out of your boat. Just slide down. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come back into the main channel. From here, you're going to get a really fun, just nice, like, you know, 4, 5, 6 foot booth. Always a good time. When you get to this point, we're coming into the next portage. This portage is, it's luckily, again, really obvious. As you can tell, you do those wheelchairs around, and then once you're back in, it is really easy to know when you're coming into it. But with this portage, this is one of the reasons why some people don't like coming in at higher water, because it just makes getting into this eddy a little weirder, a little harder. But what you're going to do is do those entrance slides. Again, it's super obvious when you're there, and you're going to boof into this, like, pothole, nice eddy on the left. As you can see from where I'm paused now, there is a nice pool before the drop that you're actually portaging. So in terms of like, if you don't immediately make that pothole eddy, it's not like you just directly go into the portage. There is a pool there. You have some time. It's like 100, 200 feet. But it's worth just getting yourself into the eddy right away. So you run those entrance slides, move left, boof into this small eddy. Super easy to catch. Like, if you're anywhere on that left side, pointing left, you'll land in it. And then what you're going to do is climb out 15, 20 feet. It's worth just going ahead and hooking your boat so you can pull your own boat up. And then from there, you don't really want to have more than like 1 or 2 people going at the same time. And once the first person's out, they can just keep lowering the rope down to pull the boats up. But what's really nice about that portage as well, in terms of knowing when the next person should go, once you're actually climbed out and you're pulling your own boat up, you actually from there can almost see the people that are above the slide, especially if you walk up like 20 feet. So it's really easy to communicate, especially in a bigger group, when the eddy is open for someone to come down. And then what you're going to do is walk literally 30 feet up and over a little ridge, and then you're going to put in literally right next to the drop you're portaging, which, if you see here, is like a cascadey slide where all the rivers just goes directly into this cave. I don't actually know how far back the cave goes. Rafa Ortiz did first descent it when they were doing the first descent in 2008, or maybe one of the following trips, but it's just not worth it. It's just all that water goes into that cave. Such an easy portage. It just doesn't seem worth the risk. But you're literally going to seal launch in, right back in, right next to what you're portaging. And then you're right back into it. Another super cruisy, fun slide. And again, what's so fun about the Upper Jalacingo is it's like almost entirely slides, and you're just out in the jungle, and it's so much fun. Yeah, like it's thick, green, always a good time. And then after that, you're just going to have a nice flowy, kind of cruisy little pizza section that ends in like a nice 4 or 5 foot booth. I've never really seemed to be able to get a big booth off of that last booth, and it always drove me crazy. And then you're going to get like, you know, like a minute of just kind of cruisy whitewater. And then from there, you're going to head into what's called Toilet Bowl, which is a it's not a big rapid, but it's a very funny little rapid, one that people often portage. So where I'm at now, you can see that really nice eddy on the right side. There's a bunch of trees and stuff like that. That is where it's worth having one person in your group, particularly the first person, get out there. A lot of people just portage because it's such a quick portage, but it is worth having one person in your group get out there, the first person, because what it is, it's a little slide into, like, it's backed up by the rocks, so it's a big, like, swirly eddy that's really awkward to paddle out of. And if the water is anything other than super low, it can be really hard for people to paddle out. But what happens often is the groups kind of just cruise in, and then when one person gets stuck, each person gets stuck with them, and then somebody has to just come and like pull them out. It's not like dangerous in your boat or anything like that. It's just a funny rapid that people get stuck in. So the first person, it's worth getting out on this right eddy, because that person can either quickly portage, or they can just run and just be right there to grab people's bows to pull them out of the eddy. Again, it's not a dangerous place in your boat. It's just something that people really struggle to paddle out of. The way to run it is you just keep your bow middle or left, and you'll just skip right through, and you can literally stand there to pull people out. But in the end, like, there's videos of people just stuck in there for a long time because it's just weird to paddle out of. Immediately following that, though, you will be heading into the next portage. Luckily, again, all these portages have very nice markers to know when you're coming up to them or about to be there or already there. So after you do that toilet bowl rapid, you're going to get just a little bit more whitewater, and then you're going to get to this rapid that has just a really big boulder and a really narrow slot that you go through. I caught the left eddy on this round just because there was that tree there. I wasn't sure if there was another one in the slot. Sometimes you go straight through, but when you do this slot, again, there's another little pool. That slot's a really nice marker. As soon as you're at this slot, go ahead and get out on river left, because it's the next portage. The whole river after this rapid goes into a siphon, so, and there's nowhere good to eddy out. So after that toilet bowl rapid, when you get to this first narrow slot, nice little pool, when in doubt, just get out or at least scout. But from here, this is where you want to do your next portage. So you're going to get out on the left. You can see the rapid I was talking about. It's a 3-minute portage along the river, super obvious. And again, you're walking along the river, so you can see that the whole river goes into the siphon here. But for this portage, you're actually putting back in on the rock that makes the siphon. So the whole process of where to portage is super straightforward. You just lower the boat down onto this rock, put back in, seal launch back in. It's a super straightforward. Doesn't take a lot of time, but it's another one that you just cannot miss. And then you get another nice cruisy, just kind of flowy rapid. Then the next rapid, it's called log drop. I guess you can probably guess why. That log actually used to be up, like the log kind of goes straight into the drop now. It used to actually be up on the horizon line, so you would just kind of boof next to it. But then it kind of fell in, so now the right side of it is a little gnarlier. Since it changed, I think this happened in like 2015 or something, it's nothing new. But since then, I have run it, and Isaac and Zach, who were just in, or were in Mexico, they're not anymore, but they were in Mexico, they ran it, which I actually have the clip here. Well, first I'll show the clip of Nick running it in 2011, which I forget if any of them had run it before that. Where'd it go? Here it is. Here's Nick running it in 2011 on the first trip he brought me along. As you can see, like it used to be up on that lip, so you kind of boof along it, go under it. It looks gnarly, but it goes really good. But since that log changed and now became this, when the water's lower, it just looks like you might get stopped on it. It just doesn't look worth it. But if you have a little bit more juice, you can go over the log, which, let's see here, where's the clip? Which has Isaac running it with Zach just a few weeks ago. This is Isaac Hall with Zach Mutton, so you can see when it's higher, you can still make it. And if you are somebody that runs it, highly recommend leaning as hard as you can into that left wall. People have gotten flipped off of that wall onto the slide. It's not as fun. So if it is high enough, you can run it like this. At lower water, you can make up your own mind when you're there, but it just looks like it'd be a lot harder to get over the log, safer. And back to the... Oh, really? You're going to start over on me? I thought it held its place. Nailed it. Oh, we're almost there. Easy to find it. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, we're back to it. If you decide not to run it, you can scout it really easily from both sides. But if you decide not to run it, you're going to portage it on river left. Where I'm scouting from, it's just a little bit below where you ported. You just get out on the left, right above it, and you walk up maybe like 30 feet, and then you're right alongside it. And then you just get up on this ridge, and then you're actually lowering yourself in just below it on the left. So it's not like the fastest portage, but it's really straightforward. This is probably me in the video describing where the log used to be. But yeah, so you can see like we're still right alongside it. So you just go up like 30, 40, 50 feet. Then you're right on this nice little platform on this ridge. And then what you're actually going to do is you're going to lower the boat down into this like cave under this boulder, which is like super cool. Like it's a really interesting portage and super cool. So even though you're not running it, still an interesting place to be, but you're literally right alongside it. It's worth having somebody go down for when they're lowering boats because there's not that much room for the boats to stay. So it's worth just getting someone down there. And what you do is jump onto that boulder. You can either climb down the left side of it at the corner or climb under this this little hole through the rock, which is also cool. So it's a cool spot regardless if you run log drop or not. And then once you're back in, just seal launch in. Dun, dun, dun. I can't imagine what the river, like how high the river was to put that boulder there, or maybe it fell. Who knows? And then once you are back in, there's two channels immediately following where you see launch back in. There's two channels: there's left channel, right channel. The left channel is the line you want to run. But what's actually pretty funny is like this is like the go-to. I call it Skatepark. It's like the go-to line on the left. But what's actually really funny is back in 2011 when Nick brought me and those guys brought me on the trip to Mexico, we used to run the right side. Here, let me show the clip because you can actually see both channels. It's super cool. The key to this one is just, get as far right as you can on the channel and then just straighten it up and enjoy yourself. I really enjoy this line. But what's really funny is when I showed up in 2011, we were only bombing into the right side, the right channel, which it's the same height, but it's like an almost vertical 35, 40 footer, however tall it is. But you kind of just slide down it and you would just take I always found I just took a really big hit at the bottom and I really stopped enjoying doing it. I was like, I am not liking this drop that much. And I was like, I want to run the left channel. And at the time, everybody was like, that's just, why would you want to run that? It just looks gnarly. So I got the first ascent in 2011. Where'd it go? And this, I like my paddle's upside down, so I double beatered. But so this is me running it for the first time, and I had a great time, and I enjoyed that so much more than the right channel. But what's funny is that the reason that the left channel has become like the standard channel, maybe some people still like to go to the right channel, but left is super fun, and it's a super unique drop. In 2000, it's still in 2011, but when we went back the following, or going into 2012, but either way, we were there with the whole family, shooting, doing a tourism project for Mexico. And so we had finished up log drop. What we used to do when we were able to run log drop at low water, and for all of us that knew the run, we used to just rally through this, like most of the run, like obviously except for the portages, we would just rally like boom, boom, boom through all of these drops, which was super fun. But on the trip in 2011 into 2012 with the whole family, we had just finished up doing log drop, and my sister didn't want to run this. She ran log drop, but she didn't want to run this one, so she got out, climbed out, and we were waiting for the camera crew to like come around and get set up to run the next drop. But while we were there, Emily noticed that there might be a tree in the right channel, and we literally used to just bomb into the right channels, like just boom, 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 never stopping because we knew the run, like within reason. But she was like, I think there's a log. And we got out on the island, and there was a tree sticking straight up the right channel, but not even the top part. It was all the roots. So if we had bombed into that right channel, we would have just gotten like movie style impaled by that tree. So luckily we noticed that. And so we all just started doing the left channel. And I don't think the tree's there. Well, the tree's obviously not there anymore. But now we only do the left channel. But I was like, just one of those times where like just sometimes that one extra scout can make a big difference. Whoops. There's Hayden skipping out. The nice thing about skate park, sometimes you get kind of spun out. Sometimes it goes really awkward. But when the booth goes good, you get such a nice skip at the end. It's super fun. And then, yeah, you can kind of see the right channel. There's also a really funny clip from when Nick was there in 2008. Or maybe, no, it was 2010 maybe, but somebody was trying to get out on the island and then missed the island and then ran the right channel backward. But yeah, that was I would much rather do the left channel, particularly forward. And then as soon as you're done with skate park, again, that drop's super obvious. You're gonna get a few minutes of kind of cruisy, boulder garden, and then you're gonna get to what's called Bukakei, which I won't even explain why I'm laughing at that name. I don't remember the reasoning behind why they called it that. If it makes you feel better, it's spelled with an I. Yeah. But they, in 2008, when they got here, so unfortunately, this drop, you run it from the top. One of the coolest, most unique pieces of Whitewater, because I'm so stoked that it's not only runnable, but to me, it's one of the coolest things that you can run, and it's so fun to just do laps on as much as you can. But unfortunately, there were some bushes and trees blocking the entrance. So this is actually what it looks like. Here's here's it from the side. And this is from the 2011 trip as well. With the so it's just one of the coolest drops to do. That's what it looks like POV to run it straight on. The key is just to keep it as straight as possible through that whole first part. Just feel out the pillows, but oh, that's the wrong one. Gotta make sure I'm actually grabbing the right clip. What I like to do in order to have the best line possible is it's so much better to try to run it as direct as possible, because when you get caught in that eddy on the right, fairing out and then going off the drop, it's just awkward, and often sometimes it pitches you on your head. So what I like to do here is I like to sweep my bow as close to that left wall as possible, so that way your bow stays up and it allows you to really carry your speed off of the drop. But you do want to try to cut that corner, because what happens a lot, which can be glorious and horrifying to watch from below, is people will end up going kind of right and trying to turn, and they'll go up on the rocks on the right. Looks like they're going to get the biggest boob, and then their stern hits, and then they go completely onto their head. It's we've all done it. It happens. But yeah, this was one of the times where I just had one of the smoother lines that I've had that I was stoked on. And then if you're into it, a lot of times it happens accidentally, but if you're into it, you can do some freestyle off the bottom drop. I've only freewheeled it. Todd Wells did an accidental back freewheel back in 2010. Somebody did, I forget the name, I forget who did it. Someone did a cobra flip off the last drop, which was super sick. But yeah, there's a lot of accidental tricks that happen off that drop. Let's get us back to the main one. So yeah, unfortunately there were trees in it that did not allow us to run into the top, which is always sad, because that is one of the best pieces of Whitewater there is. But if you happen to get to the point where there is something in the entrance, you can put in this little pothole here that I'm standing next to, which is what we had to do on this one. So yeah, you just peel right in and then again do it. And this is lower water, and at lower water this one can be more awkward, but same thing, just keep that bow up, cut the corner. Absolutely mega boof. What was wild about that boof, I didn't like my back and everything that hit wasn't big, but for some reason, I think it was like my kneecaps or something, when it hit the boat, it sent like a shock through my body and out at the fingertips, and like I felt it through my whole body, which is a sensation I've never had before. But it was one of those things where I was like, the hit wasn't big, but I got this like electric shock through my body, and I was like, and it happened, and I was like, okay, I'm not in pain yet, because I had to sit there for a second, and I like never felt that before. I was like, is the adrenaline still in? Am I about to start feeling some pain? I just sat there for a second. I was like, that was weird. And then after like a minute or two, I was like, okay, no pain. I guess I'm fine. But it was the weirdest sensation I had never experienced. That is Brent coming out of the eddy. It's really fun to run it direct. Coming out of the eddy, you can have a good line, mainly if you're as skilled as Brent was. But if you can run it direct, it just it helps a lot. I think it's me trying to explain to Bren what sensation I just had. And then, so following that, you're going to get just like another minute or two of cruisy whitewater, but you're going to get into the next portage. The portage, this one is not as like obvious per se, but the easy way to do it is as soon as you're done with Bukakei, which I'm sure there's going to be some clips stitching me somewhere, because you're going to cruise for a little bit, but when in doubt, just kind of stay on the left side, stay down the left channel. What's going to happen is right before this portage, you're going to get into a tiny, just almost no water channel that you can just wheelchair through. That's how you know that you're coming to this first portage. And you just portage it down the left, super quick, another like minute and a half portage, nothing crazy. It's just this awkward slide that lands on the wall. Like, I don't even know if anyone's run it, just because it's just super weird. But yeah, it's one of the first places that you portage. Then you get into this super weird rapid, which the main goal with this one is just to try to stay upright. It's kind of funky and weird. It tries to flip you. Just deal with it as best you can. But yeah, another way to know you're coming into that previous portage is a big boulder. The channels go around both sides. Stay down the left channel, but you're going to see that it's a bigger rapid. So get out on the left when in doubt. And then just immediately following that, you're going to get into this channel, into this portage, which is the last portage of the day. This is a slide that we have run. We've all done it, but it's really awkward, really weird. I've run it upside down, and it's not fun. Rafa's gotten pinned in it. It's just not worth doing. So, again, you're going to have Bukakei. You're going to cruise for just a minute. Stay down the left side. Portage the next big rapid. Get back in. You have just a little bit further. Stay down the left side. Again, as you get into a basically dry channel on the left side, that's how you know you're at this one as well. So, get out. Just when in doubt, also take a quick scout if you need to. But the good news about this one, it is runnable. It's just not very fun. Another really quick portage that you walk alongside it and get back in. And then you're going to have a couple more minutes of just weird, shallow boulder garden. Still fun, but you can get pinned like Bren did. And you just keep cruising, go downstream, and then you're going to have a few more fun rapids before the takeout. I think I'm explaining that I went into spiderweb. After a little bit of just kind of boulder garden, you're going to have this super fun rapid down the right channel, super fun slide. And then after this slide, you're going to come out of the jungle. There's a big field on the left. You can go just a tiny bit, so you need to get out here, but a tiny bit further down, there is a 15, 20, perfect 20 footer you can run. But there's a portage before it. So this is the end of the run. You get out here. As soon as you're done with that slide, again, it's this little slide. As soon as you do this one, you leave this really nice little canyon and you get to this pool. It's super open. Big field on the left. This is the takeout. You get out here and you walk through the field, and then the adventure rec drivers, whoever you're with, is going to be on the other end of the field waiting for you at a gate. But what you can do, as you see, it's a big open field, really obvious. But what you can do is, right before where the car is likely going to be parked, you can go down and run this perfect 15-foot, 20-foot drop. That's where they've filmed a bunch of TV shows, and Rafa taking people off in duos, things like that. But that would mean that you do have to walk a little bit, walk back in, and then hike back out. So if you want to get it, it's worth checking out. One, or go do some free wheels, mess around, whatever you want to do. But when you leave that gorge and you see the big field on the left, make sure you get out, because the next actual drop before that good little waterfall you can run is a no-go, and it definitely doesn't go. So when in doubt, just get out of that field. You can always leave your boat, walk down, and check out the portages as well as that drop you can run. Feel like I think I got all the clips. Yeah, so I feel like we need a portage counter. It's like, that is not the worst thing. It's 1, 2, 3. Was it 5? I'll have to go back through and check it out. But when it comes to this run, the main thing is, if you can have somebody that knows it. If you're at Adventure Rec, I'll be shocked if there's not either somebody there for the trip that's already done it, or somebody that's working at Adventure Rec that doesn't know it. It is one of those runs that it is really useful to have somebody that knows it. But hopefully, if you're somebody that's going and they're not with anybody that knows it, hopefully this video will help get through. But the main thing when it comes to this run is, if you're just not sure, or you're like, oh, I'm not actually 100% sure if we're at that portage or not, just get out, take a look. When in doubt, scout. It never hurts to have one person get out to at least double check where you are. Is there something different? Maybe there's a new log. So the key with runs like this is just scout. If you're not sure, get out. If you are still in a place where you're able to get out and you're just worried that you're maybe coming up to the portage, have one person get out, walk down the river. Like, there's just no reason to bomb into something blind if you're not actually confident that you are where you think you are. Particularly with a river like this that has a couple must-make portages that you absolutely do not want to miss, which unfortunately has happened on this run with that top drop. So in terms of how long is the section, that's a good question that I will keep in mind for future river breakdown. It is a longer day. Usually, I feel like I want to take like 4 hours. It depends on how much you're scouting, how much people are wanting to scout, portage, extra rapids, things like that. If you run log drop, that saves like a 20-minute portage. So it just depends on the type of crew you're with and how many people are scouting and portaging the extra rapids and all that. But I want to say it's probably 4 miles. Maybe it sounds a little short. That is a very good question that I will definitely keep in mind for future river breakdowns, so that way people have because then obviously with the videos, with the cut, it's hard to tell exactly how long the section is. So I will definitely keep that in mind for future breakdowns. Are there any questions about this river in particular? For those that I don't feel like I clarified at the beginning very well. For those that don't know, that was the Upper Jalacingo, outside of Jalcomulco in Mexico. First descended in 2008, one of the sickest sections in the world. And what's funny is that directly below that, like I said, you have to get out in that field. The car is usually waiting there, but down the road, you skip this section of it that is it just doesn't go. But down the road, which you can walk, or people sometimes get in a car and drive a couple minutes. But you can run the Lower Jalacingo, which is a full waterfall run, which is one of the greatest waterfall runs in the world. That it's just, you can do both in the same day, which I've done many times. Rafa and I did it. We bombed through the upper and the lower, where we ran everything that was runnable in 2 hours, which was so much fun. We did that leading up to his wedding. And something else that's been done that I haven't got the chance to do, because when I'm there, I was either sick this trip or people that didn't want to do it. But you can do what Pat and Aniol did in 2015, I believe it was 2015, where you do the Upper Jalacingo into the Lower Jalacingo, and from there you can actually paddle into the Alta Seca, which is the other main river that you paddle in Mexico that has like a bunch of different sections you can do. Where the river comes in directly below is the Tomato waterfalls, go Tomato 1, Tomato 2, into the Seven Sisters section. So you can do Upper Jalacingo, Lower Jalacingo, into the Tomatas, into Seven Sisters, which just looks like one of the most fun days of kayaking. And Pat and Noel did that first in 2015. Killian and a few others did that, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. And then Zach Mutton and Isaac Hull just did that like a week or two ago. Zach has the video online that just looks like one of the most glorious days that I've always wanted to do. But the good news is Zach said he'll do it with me if we get the chance to go back. What rapid is so? There's a question. What rapid is my favorite on that run? I mean, I like Skatepark because it's basically like you're not even on water. There's just no water. It's just when you get that good skip. But I mean, Bukakei is by far, and the locals call it the El Borracho because they don't like the name Bukakei. But that's the name of it, and I think that is like one of the most unique pieces of Whitewater. That is just so fun if you get the chance to run. Oh, I just realized I totally forgot to. Where is it? I totally forgot to give a fun little tidbit about this drop. So right where I'm at now, that big spray on the left side, when they were first descending it in 2008, there was a log that was, I mean, it must have been like 4 feet in diameter. It was a colossal log. But as the first ascent, when they got to this rapid, you would do anything you could to get rid of it. But they didn't have chainsaws. They just had machetes. So they spent, I think Nick said, 7-8 hours chopping at this tree. And they somehow managed to get through it. Because, I mean, you would spend days, weeks out there to open up this rapid. But it was directly across where I'm at now. And so they were like, the only way to do this is to... got to get that log out. But what's really funny is the guy that really, Phil Shepard, not Phil Shepard, Phil Quinn, he was on this trip, and I think he was saying that he really wanted to get the first descent. But when they were there, they obviously had to get rid of the log, and the log was across. They thought that spray on the left side was only happening because of the log, and they spent the 7-8 hours chopping away at it with a machete. They got rid of it. The log went through, went off the drop, was totally fine, but the spray was still there. And they had probably, I don't know, maybe not quite double the flow that we had in this clip, but they had a lot more water. And he didn't want to run it anymore, at least not first. And Eker decided to run it first, but unfortunately, I think it was somewhere around here. I think it was on this drop. He flipped and ran the last part upside down, which did not look as enjoyable. But then the rest of the crew ended up running it and making it look sick. Yeah, it's just funny to think they spent like 7-8 hours with a machete chopping away at a log, but I can't blame them. I would do anything I could I would get it airlifted out because I would want to open up this drop so bad. For those that don't know, all of this first descent, videos of the first descent of the Jalacingo is in Nick's film Here Now that he made back in the day. But yeah, it's one of the best pieces of Whitewater run. I absolutely love that drop. And Bukakei on that drop is Bukakei on that run, by far my favorite. I feel like this is going to be the paddle thing all over again. People are going to be cutting that together into something else. Fingers crossed not. And then any other questions you have before I wrap this up? Do I plan on uploading the river breakdowns on YouTube? Would be nice to have more river breakdowns. I 100% plan on uploading all of these. Any stream I do, but definitely these river breakdowns, I will put on my YouTube channel. Because that is definitely that's 100% the plan. I haven't fully decided when to, following the streams, when to put them on, because I'd like to encourage people to join me here so I can respond to questions right away, if there's anything I'm missing or people have questions about it. But I will probably do it somewhere between a month or 3 months after, just so that way I can have people come here and I can actually engage with them here, and then later down the line I will put it up. But I haven't fully figured out exactly when, but I will definitely, you guys will be the first to know when it goes up. The question is, any tips on getting sponsors? this could turn into a 2-hour talk. So for the sake of this breakdown, I'm not going to dive super far into it. But the quick answer, which will probably turn into 15 minutes, the quick answer on it, the main tip I have for getting sponsors is figure out how to make yourself as valuable as possible. And the quick answer to that, I think the number one best way to do that as a kayaker is to take up some form of media, whether photo, video, because that allows you to not only, and even if it's the GoPro, it doesn't matter if it's a GoPro 8, by having a camera, having some form of media, that allows you to not only create content wherever you end up going, but you also can create content for your friends or whoever you're with, and that allows you to create content together that you can then take to your sponsors or take to whoever you're working with as a way to be like, if they support you to get to Mexico, that way you have some value in going there by bringing back a bunch of stuff. Because like for me personally, with the people I'm with, like for myself alone, I obviously do my GoPro stuff. I fly drones, I do photo, I do video, I can make the edits. And all I need is the support to get there. And then on top of that, I support my friends and whoever and family, whoever I'm with. But they do the same thing for me by filming me, taking photos and all that. So it's a very collective way to make sure you're not just going there and getting a couple POV shots. There's much more value, and it depends. It varies on the type of brand you're trying to support, whether it's footwear, the paddles, the gear, the boats, or some other brand. But when it comes to kayaking brands, but especially if you're trying to work outwards towards potentially other brands, it is worth having some form of media that you are capable of creating for yourself and others, and vice versa with the people you're with. Because there's no point on, getting support to have 10 people go onto a river with nothing to show for it. And what's fun about it is that allows you to, it allows you to capture and get amazing content of these amazing places, on top of getting to experience it. So I probably at some point, because this is going to be a question I'm going to get a lot and I've already gotten it multiple times, is I should probably do a whole stream just based on this and kind of my own experience and tips I have. But a really quick one that obviously turned into 5 minutes is learn how to create some form of media. Doesn't matter if it's a GoPro 8, doesn't matter if it's a $100 photo camera, $100 video camera. It's not that expensive to get yourself into some form of media creation, and it's 100% worth it because it's fun. There's a lot of potential for things you can do, and it is a great way to support you and the people you're with, to create some form of content that you can bring back for your sponsors as well as theirs, which turns into you getting to kayak more as well as your friends. I had that growing up with Nick and the people I was with, and then obviously with the Sen crew and other people like it. It's a huge part of where I am now in terms of being able to support myself with brands in kayaking and outside of kayaking. So yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up unless anybody else has any questions on the Upper Jalacingo itself. On the docket at the moment. Is that even the right statement? I feel like I've got the problem with these things being straight through and I can't actually edit them is I feel like I'm going to say some wild stuff. I'm pretty sure that was right. I have the Upper Jalacingo I just did. I'm going to do the Lower Jalacingo, which is one of the greatest rivers in the world. And then I'm also going to do Upper Cherry, West Cherry, and I believe I have Fantasy Falls lined up as well, but that one's going to take a little longer. But yeah, so those are what's up next. And if there's anything else that you guys want me to cover, rivers that you'd like me to cover. But in terms of questions, like any tips on getting sponsors, things like that, I have an email set up, danejacksonkayak@gmail. You can send in clips of yourself or clips of mine that you want me to break down or critique or something that you're curious about, or just send in written questions that you're like, tips on getting sponsored, or like the last week was like my knife and the life jacket, things like that. It doesn't matter, and it can be where do your legs sit in the boat. It doesn't have to be like insane kayaking questions. It can be anything. There's no stupid questions, and I'd love to answer anything you guys want to know. So it's again danejacksonkayak@gmail. Send in anything you're curious about, anything you want to know, and I'm gonna do river breakdowns like I'm doing now, but I'm also gonna be doing the full streams like I did last week, with like really breaking down those questions and clips that you guys send into that email. Sweet. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully the stream went smoothly from your end. And yeah, more to come. Thanks for hanging out with me for a minute, and I'll catch you guys on the water.